Breakfast a la Paul.
Pancakes a la Paul.
I said breakfast.
Well, they're pancakes a la Paul.
Okay.
Your pancakes ready, Jay?
Yeah.
I'm good.
You're good.
No, you're not. Have you seen them in the wild before? Stand here and just feed it their hot. Our first pile of wood didn't last very long, so Paul's trying out his brand new winch and winching some big logs closer towards the fire. This also gives us the opportunity to sort out his winch cable and make sure it's tight on the drum.
Not saying.
You could tell that it hurt.
No, it didn't.
Hanging in the tree, shoot holes in it and just stand under it. Oh, Paul's going to have a shower.
It took a couple of goes getting out towards the old rower line, and eventually Stephen and I managed to get to there. While we were searching, I found that someone else had been there relatively recently. After a bit of consideration and examining where this bloke had been, we determined that he'd been there only about a week before us. We tried accessing this section of rower line from a number of places, one about 6 k's further north than where we had camped, but we found that the road into it was very, very overgrown, and it was unlikely we were ever going to get our vehicles close.
The place we've been stopped at for about 3 days now, old cross-cut saw, really still pretty sharp. Nescafe, tin of Nescafe, aluminium tin so it hasn't rusted away. One of the things I was quite surprised to find was this is a jar of nugget, but it looks like white nugget. And we've got 2 really big bottles of Holbrook sauce, so obviously the food they had out here was pretty shit house. Olive oil jar. These were probably preserves or pickles of some sort. Not many of these left now because people keep taking them. And I think that's a brill cream jar. And this one is another one I really like. It's a Rainbow brand vinegar, I think it is. Nice little rainbow on it. I'm going to keep this one. Catch later.
So with all the camp packed up, including some of my treasures and the fire made reasonably safe, we're going to head off further towards the west and see if we can locate one of the east-west bound sections of track that we're showing on Google Earth.
What about this one? You can tell it's a milk bottle, but it isn't.
I don't even know what it is. What is that? Seriously?
Yeah, there's pickled humphreys in it.
Is that like got...
Big rocks just here. Roger, do you want me to aim for him?
I love your big rock.
Well, that's one whole series of audio I'll have to cut out.
We are currently running along the earth embankment formed when the railway line went through a cutting. You can imagine the amount of effort it took these guys who built this line to remove all this dirt and then pile it up on each side.
Do it again?
Puncture, get a kiss.
Even from the Nissan I heard the puncture on Paul's car. If I've been able to get to a tyre quick enough, I can actually get it patched up before we need to pull the pump out. However, in this case, that was not possible.
There you go.
That's one flat tyre. Is it? Tonight you need to change it on the back.
And you need your presser out.
Just turn your car off.
Close. Be 34. You want to test? No?
That's how you do it, Tom.
We've just stopped to repair a puncture on Paul's car. And guess what? The superhero, moi, sorted it all out. Thanks.
These tracks that we're on haven't been used for a long time, and even though I have been here a number of times before, I still missed the turn off and ended up in some very tight turns to get through the heavily wooded area.
With diesel.
Diesel.
Here comes diesel. Diesel.
He's cutting up some tomatoes so we can have ham and tomato crust.
Tomato. Drink.
No, she's cooking tomatoes. She's
I'm
not cooking
cutting.
Steve at all.
We've just pulled up at another log across the track. Steve's going to bring the chainsaw up. This is one of the routes that I found a few years ago, and it hasn't had a lot of traffic in the last 4 or 5 years, not since Steve and I came up here last time. So we'll just rip this log off and get cracking.
Here we are out on the wood lines, driving through some of the thickest countryside I have ever seen. Hardly been travelled on, although Mark's been down here a couple of times before. We've had 2 punches already. I'm struggling to find a pathway through all these trees and things, and yet Mark has managed to spot a bottle off the side of the road, probably 50 metres or so inside there, and now we've lost him. And here we have the rarely seen Julie.
No, I was just seen at lunchtime preparing lunch for you hordes.
She's normally on this side of the camera.
I know.
Now she's also trying to find out where the Mark
No,
has
I know
disappeared
where he
to.
is. He was right behind me. I thought there was someone sneaking up
Got
on
one
me.
of these. Na, 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 na. Check that out.
You're right, I haven't. That's fucking excellent.
What is it?
But I'm not sure I'd want to have these pelletinoids.
Pelletinoids? What are pelletinoids?
I think that's rectomoids. Pelletinoids.
And what's this one?
That'll be Clement's little fallings or something. Yeah, Sloane and Clement really does.
No, she does
What
not.
for?
But I'm having it.
Yeah, I saw that one on the way back. There's a Stacey won't want to come here. I've come across 3 fucking dogs on that spider.
Well, here we are out on the Woodlines track. We're cutting across from our previous campsite to another campsite. Mark's got teed up for us a bit closer to Lake Cowan, and it's not a very well travelled road. We've got another down tree, so we're getting out the chainsaw and going to chop him up and clear the path.
The other really good thing is that she didn't say is that we finished putting our camp up. And look.
This is the Taj Mahal.
Well, we can't put a J on our things because there's a J and a Julie.
Ah, yeah. That's a good D.
D.
Found one of these at long last. I've got a few at home, but I haven't been able to find one for years. It's as good as gold pickles jar. Been looking for one of them for ages. For someone dug up a fire pit and found another reindeer brand bottle. Unfortunately, I think it's got a crack somewhere. Or maybe it hasn't. Well, it's even more superb. And in the same pit was an olive oil jar. I found another one of these little bottles with the top still in, which is really cool because the date on it is 1942. There's another brandy or alcohol bottle from Distillers Corporation Proprietary Limited. Tasty. And it's not often you find a billy can in the bush that doesn't have a single hole. Oh, I lied. Here it is, single hole.
Takes a couple hours to cook that.
Yeah.
Yummy sausages! Ooh la la! Oh, look at the doggies. They want sausage.